every feedback, is a reflection of the individual giving the feedback and you.
Yes.
And so I think it's really important to try and unpick that to some extent. And I always remember, and this goes back to one of the dichotomies of female leadership, is that because when I started off by saying, I'm no different. I'm just a leader. I'm going to be gender neutral. But you don't realize that, it's not about what you think. Everybody coming to you sees you as female first and foremost.
Yes.
And so they bring all expectations of how you should lead and how you should be. And it's not just about Jeanne, it's about, a woman CEO.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, okay, I'm not sure what a woman CEO does. I know
Well,
what Jeanne does.
it's not always been easy to find them, Jeanne, so people aren't sure.
And so, but I remember one feedback I got, once, because, I had entered a meeting with, we were preparing for a turnaround. It was in a plant, so it was in my comfort zone. But I just felt that the team there was so complacent about, they were missing every single milestone here. And they kept saying, oh, no, don't worry, we'll pull this out. No, don't worry, which, again, in your background conversation, you're a little bit saying, you're not really taking me seriously here. And so I thought about, how to handle that. And I thought about all my other bosses and all that. And, in the moment, I decided, I'm just going hard on this one. You know what I mean? They're not paying attention. And I don't have time, to take their leader aside and tell him and hope he translates that. And, I'm just going to go in hard. And, I was very, very firm. In hindsight, I think they thought aggressive.
Yes.
But in my mind, I was being very firm. They weren't listening. They weren't taking it seriously. And, I was going to make sure they did. Now, the interesting thing is, as things turns out, they got the kick in the butt, they got into gear, and we had a great turnaround. So I thought, check, good job.
Yep.
And then I got the feedback were like, wow, you were so out of line there. And I thought a lot about that. And and to this day, I still think about it sometimes. But I think, again, what I learned is it's really hard for women to exercise hard power.
Yes.
Because I had seen men do worse.
Yes.
I've been kicked in the butt, any number of times. And, afterwards, I kind of reflect on it and say, okay, maybe I was being a little complacent.